to 750, you need to listen to this live. I'm going to tell you how to remove things off your credit report that are inaccurate. Everybody put 750 if you got a 750. If you got less than a 750, don't put anything. I'm about to just start teaching you how to remove and rebuild, recycle, reuse your credit report. When I first started fixing my credit, I had a 490 credit score. A 490 can't get you a credit card. It can't get you a vehicle. It can't get you a line of credit, a small business loan. It can't get you a house. So it has you in a position to where you have to do what everybody else tell you can do. Does that make sense? How many times have y'all been to a dealership and you looking at your dream car? I'm going to tell you about my dream car before. My dream car was a Jeep Wrangler. Before I got a Jeep Wrangler, I was literally dreaming about it. I was putting it up on my vision board. I'm going to get a Jeep Wrangler. I'm going to get 40-inch mud tires on it. I'm going to get off-road tires. I'm going to get deep 20-inch rims. I'm going to get the heavy-duty front bumper. I'm going to get a winch on the front, so if I wanted to go pull somebody from out of a ditch, I can do it. I wanted to get the heavy-duty fenders, the front bumper, the rear bumper. I wanted to get the rolling cage. I wanted to get everything for my Jeep Wrangler. I was dreaming about it, imagining how it's going to be if I actually got it. And then guess what happened? I went to the dealership and tried to buy it, and guess what? My credit was so bad, they said you can get any car that's in this lot except for your dream car. So basically, it was a bunch of cheap-ass cars, and then it was the new Jeep Wranglers. And I came, literally used my credit, filled out the application. I had a good job, I thought, and I said, hey, I should be able to get this Jeep Wrangler. I can afford it. And they said, well, your credit says otherwise. So instead of them, walking me to my dream car, they walked me to my nightmare car, and they walked me to like a Chrysler 300. They like, yo, you can get this. They brought me to like a Buick LeSabre, and I was like, damn, this all I can get just based off of my credit. And when you take the time to actually fix your credit, then you're able to have the options that you want, not just what you can. So it makes you feel bad. I remember going to get my apartment that I wanted to get. I went to, it was a spot in Buckhead called MAA Lennox, right? And they had the ceiling to the floor windows. And I wanted to be able to get those ceiling to floor windows that go all the way into the bedroom from the living room. It's super dope, got a dope view of a whole Buckhead. And I said, I want to get this apartment. I walked the apartments, they showed me a tour. I was happy, I was excited, I was ecstatic. I went and put the application in, and they denied me so quickly that it was insane. So I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. I had to do what people told me I could do. And that's the worst feeling in the world, especially when you're a person who thinks that they're doing the right thing. I got a good job. I'm a responsible person, I thought. Because I'm like, why would I not be a person that's applicable to get this apartment if I can afford it? It's because my credit was bad. And that's why I'm teaching you guys this. And I also couldn't just go buy a house because I don't got $300,000 to $400,000, or to now my first crib that I bought was $1.3 million. I don't have that cash to where I can just go buy it. So you got to use credit to be able to help you be able to get in positions to get assets, to be able to get the dream cars, to be able to get the dream apartments, and so on and so forth. So that's the ideology behind wanting to have good credit. So now that y'all understand that, I'm going to teach y'all how to do it right now. So first thing, before you can do anything with your credit to fix it, you have to actually know what it is. So you have to check your credit. Everybody take out your pen and pad. Everybody start writing down their notes. I want y'all to really understand that note takers are money makers. You're all the ones who actually be able to find the true success, because you can have something to have a point of reference. I don't trust my memory. Y'all don't even remember what you ate 4 days ago. You don't remember what you even was wearing 4 days ago. So I already know that you're not going to remember if I tell you how to fix your credit 4 days from now. So I want y'all to really write these down and really be able to learn it. First thing you got to do is know your status. So check your credit report. You can check your credit report on Experian. I love using the Experian app, and I pay for this service, and it shows me all 3 of my credit bureaus. I can see all of the things that are on there. Hard inquiries, when I get a new one, I can see it right away. I can see anytime a late payment that comes on, a collection comes on, anything that I need to see, and I can see the dates that it was added. I can see the dates that they were updated. Everything can be used on the Experian app. Another app you can use that has like a free trial when you first start, Identity IQ. You can use Identity IQ to check your credit report. It's very accurate. It shows hard inquiries, even soft inquiries, but it'll show you everything that's happening on your credit report in real time. Yes, you have to pay for that service. It's worth it for you to know your credit. If you know that everything that we do as U.S. citizens involves us being able to use our credit, that should be very important enough for you to pay for it. Y'all take time to pay for Netflix every month. Y'all take time to pay for Apple Music every month, and all of these different things that we don't really need, but we still pay for it without an issue. But when it comes to our credit, which is the most important thing, we don't want to pay for it. So as soon as we see that we got to pay for it every month, that starts to make us, not want to do it. So I use Experian, I use Identity IQ. There's other apps you can use. Don't use Credit Karma, because Credit Karma doesn't give you the picture of what your credit report is. It actually doesn't give you an accurate score. How many times, people probably went to the dealership, probably went to an apartment complex, and they asked you what your credit score was. You looked at Credit Karma and you said, yeah, I got a 750, I got a 780, I got an 800, or whatever the case may be. And then when they pulled your credit report, it was a 600. When they pulled your credit report, it was a lot lower. And then sometimes it can be even higher. So sometimes Credit Karma is just not accurate. It's not updated in real time. It doesn't show an accurate depiction of your credit. So even though Credit Karma is free, it isn't accurate. So it's no point for you to use it. Unless you're going to use a TransUnion dispute method that people use on Credit Karma, it's really no purpose for you to use it. I prefer Experian, or you can use the actual apps for each platform. You can use the Experian app. You can use the Equifax app, you can use the TransUnion app and pay for them. But instead of me paying for all three separately, I'd rather just pay for the Experian or Identity IQ so I can see all three in real time whenever I need to. And if you need to update it earlier, you can pay for an updated report in the middle of the month and know your status at all times. Very important. So first step is you need to know exactly what your credit is. Now, once you see your credit, if you don't know what's negative or what's positive, what's the point of even pulling your credit report, right? So the first thing you got to do when you pull your credit report is understand what affects your credit, what moves it up and down. So the things you got to know about credit is that utilization plays the biggest part in your credit. Utilization, all right? Utilization, all right? Everybody put UTI. Everybody put UTI in the chat. I want to make sure y'all sticking with me. Everybody put UTI in the chat. UTI. Let's go. Everybody put UTI in the chat. Somebody said, how's the Achilles? I appreciate that. It's tore up. I'm in my boot right now, so you can see. But everybody put UTI. All right, cool. Utilization plays the biggest part. Now, Mitch, what the hell is utilization? I'll tell you. Utilization is when you get a credit card. Let's say you get a credit card and your limit is $1,000. If you use over 6%, they're going to tell you 20%. They're going to tell you 30%. You want to stay under 30. I'm telling you as an expert when it comes to credit is that you do not need to reflect on the bureau anything more than 6%, okay? Between 2 and 6% is your best chances of your credit score shooting up, because you don't want to show a zero balance. You don't want to show no usage of your credit cards. You want to when you let balance hit to your credit bureaus, you want it to be no more than 6%. And you don't want it to be zero, because zero means it's like you're not using it. So it doesn't affect your credit report the way you think it does. So always let between 2 and 6% show on your credit balance if you can help it. Okay. So now, with that being said, if you had a balance of $1,000, you don't want to let more than like 30, 40 bucks report to your credit bureaus, right? And that's going to help you be able to make your stuff rise. Now, a lot of you guys are maxing out your credit cards and wondering why your credit score is low, even though you're making the minimum payment. Is because your utilization is very, very high. So when you go take a credit course or you go to a credit class, they're going to tell you don't let more than 20% or 30%. It depends on what class you go to. But I'm telling y'all, as an expert, as a person who has millions of dollars in real estate, millions of dollars in auto loans, millions of dollars in revolving credit, that if you let between 2 and 6% hit, that's your best chance of having the highest credit score. So for the people like, damn, well, how do I do business and use and swipe big amounts on my credit card and then have 2 or 6%? I'm going to tell y'all about that later, and I'm going to tell y'all the best ways to be able to use credit for your benefit, okay? So utilization, don't let more than 2 and 6%. Write that down on your piece of paper right now. Write that down on your piece of paper. Take notes right now. Don't let more than 6% show to the credit bureaus. And for those who are like, damn, how do you know when they're going to show it? It's called a statement date, okay? So if you guys pull up your credit card bill, right? You can pull up your billing statement and pull up your credit card, right? Pull up the PDF. It's going to have a statement date. It's going to be the day. That's going to be the day that they report that to the credit bureau. So if they report to TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, it's going to have a specific day where your balance is going to report to the bureaus, okay? So they have two things. Like they have your limit that's going to report to the bureaus, and they're going to have how much you spent on that statement date. It doesn't matter if you maxed out your car like 4 days before that. If you pay that balance in full, or you pay it down to 2% before the statement date, on that statement date, whatever that balance is what they're going to report to the bureaus, okay? And that's how you can control what they report. That's how Pushman Mitch can know exactly what they're going to report to the bureaus, because I know the statement date. So if the date, and I say the day before, is because sometimes it's a processing time. So you don't want to pay it the exact same day as the statement date. You want to pay it before. So on the statement date, so this is high level sauce. A lot of people won't tell you that. They're going to be like, know the statement date and pay it by that. No, pay it the day before at least, or 2 days before. You want to make sure that by the time that statement date comes, that your balance is showing 2 and 6%. It doesn't matter if just 3 days before, 4 days before, you maxed out the credit card. It doesn't matter if you used the whole entire credit card limit. You could have went even above. Some credit card people let you use more than the balance sometimes, when you can just overspend. They let you do it. But as long as by that statement date you pay it off to between 2 and 6%, if you leave 2 and 6% as the balance, it's going to shoot your credit score all the way to the moon. And they're going to only report what you paid at that time. Okay? So you got to know that sauce. Please write it down. Don't guess about this. I know the information. Don't guess. So the next thing you got to realize is, can you control the statement date? Yes, you can. Can you control your billing cycle? Yes, you can. You can call. So if you know, when people have lots and lots of credit cards, right? You ever seen somebody with a stack of credit cards like this thick? I don't have that many credit cards. I just have the ones that I need for each business. I normally get 3 or 4 for each business that I start. But, you know, people have stacks of credit cards like this. I know y'all be like, how the hell they keeping track of all these different, you know, due dates? So a lot of people will go out and just get a bunch of different credit cards, and the banks will choose your statement date for you, and you just accept it. But no, you can call in and say, I want my bill due on this date. The smartest thing is to stagger it like this. You got half your cards on the 1st, the other half of your cards on the 15th. That'll make it easier for you to control your destiny, so you're not coming maximum output on the 1st all the time, and you're not maximum output on the 15th. You're spreading it out to where you can control exactly when it's due. You think you're going to be able to remember when one is due on the 6th, one is due on the 18th, one is due on the 22nd. No, you call the banks and you say, I want my bill due on the 1st. Can my statement date be this date? And they're going to say, yeah, your statement date is 6 days after the due date. They're going to say, bet. Or you're going to say, oh, the statement date is 3 days after the due date. You will know exactly when you need to have your balance paid down to 2 and 6%. And that's the ultimate control, okay? Ultimate control. All right, so after that, you guys understand the number one thing to watch out for on credit reports is utilization. That's what they care about. Somebody gave you credit and you used too much of it, okay? They want you to be like a person who has all the opportunity to use credit, but you just choose to use only 2 and 6%. That means that you're doing well outside of borrowing money. That means that you are the perfect candidate for me to extend credit to, because not only do you have credit, but you never use it all and you never over leverage yourself. It makes you look really, really good. So utilization, number one. Next thing you want to worry about is collections. Of course, you don't want to have anybody that you owe. I told y'all the best friend method, right? You don't want to have a bunch of friends out there that you are walking around, and when they see you, they like, damn, don't you owe me money? So it's your report card. They're reporting that you borrow money at this date. They're going to put it on exact date. They're going to put the exact date that you borrowed the money, right? And they're going to put how long it's been since you didn't even pay them back. And they're going to put any payments that you have made. They're going to put that you've been late, even when it's a collections. So you want to make sure that you don't owe anybody money. So when you are going to Comcast, make sure you return that damn cable box when you move. When you go into, when you go into T-Mobile and you running up the phone bill and you don't plan to pay, make sure you pay that phone bill. Be responsible. You are actually using these people's services. Okay. So the first thing is just to avoid owing people. Okay. But if you do owe someone, let me help you out on getting rid of the collections. What you can do is you can settle these debts with the original debtor, or if it's already been paid off to a collection agency, you can actually dispute it if you like, if there's any inaccuracies about the account. Meaning if the balance is incorrect, you can report that that's the incorrect balance and they have to remove it by law because it is using inaccuracies on your credit report. Do I think that you should pay it? I think you always should pay it because that's the energy you want to get back from the world. Imagine you starting a business and somebody uses your services, you build them, they never pay you, and they just literally just get it off of their credit and they never ever pay you. Even though you gave them the phone, the services, or whatever products you sell, you never get paid from any customers. You wouldn't like that. So make sure if you do owe people, please pay them because that's the energy that you want back. When you start your business, you're going to want people to pay you. So never be that scammer that just tries to remove things off your credit report that you actually owe. Now, if they report something that is inaccurate, then you by law have a right to get it removed off your credit report. What I do whenever I do any disputes, my favorite way that I've used for the last 10 years of my life that has always worked for me is that I literally send in handwritten letters, okay? I write them by hand. First thing you want to make sure you have on these disputes is your first name, your last name, your email address, and your phone number. You want to make sure you have your address as well that's current that you have on the credit report. Very important. You want to give them a copy of your driver's license, copy of your social security card. And after that, you can do a handwritten letter saying this particular thing is on my credit report and it's being reported inaccurately. Please confirm all the details of this with the debtor. And now they have 30 days that they can literally send that dispute to them and they have to respond within 30 days. If they don't respond that time, they will have to remove it by law. Okay. And that's just the rules of the game. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't happen on the first go around. So after 30 days, you want to send it again. You want to send another dispute in if you hear a response back from the credit bureau saying they reached out to the party and they confirmed it. If they reach out to you and say they didn't confirm it, that means that they're going to remove it off your credit report and you make sure it gets done in a timely manner. Is that game for you guys? That's how you dispute anything you want. You can dispute the wrong address that way. You can dispute collections that way. You can dispute late payments that way. Late payments are very, very tricky. And I tend to like to do that, but that's the next thing. So the next thing after collections, guys, is going to be late payments. But I'm going to go on collections still a little bit more. When it comes to it going to a debt collector and you want to handle it with a debt collector, if you want to pay to get it off quickly, you want to know these terms. You want to get a letter of deletion, okay, before you pay. And if you talk to the debt collector, never admit to the debt, okay? Whenever you're speaking with somebody who's calling to collect a debt, do not say, yeah, that was me. Don't say, oh, that's mine. Oh, yeah, I know about that. You want to always deny it. You don't want to ever claim to know that this is yours or claim it because that's when they can re-put it on your credit report. And they are always calling you from a recorded line. And if you admit to the debt, that gives them power to manipulate how long something can be on your collections. So never admit to it. But if you do call in, say, hey, I'm looking to settle this debt that is not mine because it's holding me back from literally being able to get a home, whatever the case may be. Are you willing to settle this debt for half and then send me a letter of deletion? They might say yes or no. If they say no, you want to reach out to a supervisor or a manager that has the power to send you a letter of deletion before you pay off that debt or pay it half. They will allow you to pay half. They will allow you to pay less than half sometimes. It just depends on who you're speaking to. And if you get that letter of deletion, then you pay it. And then even if they don't remove it like they said they would, you have the letter of deletion. You can send that into the credit bureaus, proving that not only did you pay the debt, but you've received a letter of deletion from the debtor, and they should be able to remove that within the next 30 days or the next billing cycle. So that's some power for you guys to remove collections the right way. Cool. Next thing that affects your credit report so you can be able to read what's positive and what's negative on a credit report when trying to know your status is, of course, is going to be late payments. Now, if you just have one late payment, it's a lot easier to get off than 3 or 4 or clearly more than that. So if you ever had one late payment, it's best to just call them and say, hey, we've been doing business for the last 5 to 10 years. I don't know how this late payment occurred, but that's based off of our relationship. That's not something that's normal. Can you give me a one-time courtesy and remove that late payment? The better you talk on the phone, the more that you sound like you got some sense, the easier it will be for them to remove that off. And then if they don't remove it when you do it that way, it's called the hookah method. The hookah method just means hang up and call again. You hang up and call again, get the right person, the right representative on the phone with you, and they are more likely to remove it off your credit report easier if it's just one. They'll do 2 occasionally, but I'm just saying it's a lot easier if you call, if you have one. Also, pay attention to natural disasters, just like Hurricane Helen, the next hurricane that's coming up now, the pandemic. These are all things that you can use for you were under duress because of that particular situation, can they do a courtesy to remove those payments? Was the last thing we were worried about was our credit scores, our making payments because we were trying to survive. Our houses got, taken down. We had to relocate. These are things that you can use as an excuse to excuse late payments. And always pay attention to disaster relief. And a lot of you guys don't even know that you're applicable for disaster relief, and you were actually affected by these natural disasters. So always pay attention to those, because that's what you can use, and they will remove it. These businesses understand when a natural disaster happens that things do happen like that, and it makes sense. Timeliness is important. So, make sure that, if you can help it, you try to do that as quickly as possible, as soon as it happens. Like, soon as you realize, it's been a couple months, but I didn't even realize that I wasn't making my payments because the hurricane was going on. So pay attention to that as well. So always remember that when it comes to it. So first of all, we got utilization, we got UTI, right? We got collections, we got late payments. Another thing you got to understand about credit, right? You want to have a good credit mix. So a good credit mix is like you want to have open accounts that are positively reflecting on those bureaus. Okay, so you want to have a mix of credit. That's revolving credit. That's going to be credit card. You want to have car loans. That's that's an auto side of credit. You want to have real estate if you can help it. If you own a house or you're renting a house, whatever the case may be. If it's reporting to your credit report, you want to have a good credit mix, but you want to have more than 10 accounts open. Reporting positively. Okay, so that means you're actually utilizing your credit. That makes your credit score get a lot higher. And a lot of people think it's about the score, the number. It's not really about the number. It's more about the credit mix than the number itself. Because I've seen people get higher credit limits, better APR rates with people who actually have better credit mixes but lower scores, because when you use your credit, please believe your score is going to go down, and then there's a redemption period within the next 3 months, it'll go back up. So banks understand when you just bought this car, you just got this home, you just were running your credit to figure out how to get this car or home, and that's going to affect your credit and make it go down. But it doesn't mean because your score is lower that you're not credit worthy because you have a good credit mix. So the amount of open accounts definitely helps your credit in the long run. So make sure you have a good credit mix. Okay. Now that's going to be that's going to come to school loans as well. You want to be making sure you make your payments on time. If you're a person who's been out of school more than 6 months, and you want to make sure, because it does affect it, even though school loans and hospital bills are something that we can't have removed off, or you can, but sometimes they put it back, but they use something that you can't have removed off your credit report. And if it is reflecting, it doesn't affect you as much as different payments, because they understand that a lot of people get into debt coming straight out of high school as children and becoming in debt for school loans, things of that nature. And hospital bills, you were under duress, you got hurt, and financially that can take a toll. So though they don't affect you as much as other things on your report, but still you want to be making sure you make payments to be able to help yourself have a good credit mix. The next thing, outside of utilization, good credit mix, collections, late payments, is going to be the length of credit history. All right. Length of credit history. So some of you guys get upset when you got a nice score. You got a 750, 770, and you still can't get approved for certain things. And that's normally because your ages of credit history isn't long enough. And your average is what they care about. It's not about if you had one account that was for older, but really recently you got all of these new accounts open at the same time. That's going to change your average credit history, okay? So things you can do to help with credit history is adding trade lines with, like, I normally say starting off with your family, your friends and family, right? If I got my grandmother, we got a great relationship, and my grandmother happens to have good credit. I'm just using a hypothetical. And she has low utilization. She doesn't really use her credit cards. I'll say, Grandma, put me on your credit card as an authorized user. That only means that they're going to send a credit card to her. She can get that credit card and cut it up. I'm never going to use it. I don't need to use it in any way. Soon as she adds me as an authorized user to her credit card, I am going to get her ages of credit history. I'm going to be able to get her utilization, and I'm going to get her positive payment history as well added to my credit report. It won't be primary, but it'll be secondary, but it still will affect my credit, ages of history, my credit worthiness, and my credit mix. This is a way for you guys who have older parents who do have good credit and they want to help you with your credit as well. It'll give you that boost you need. as well. So that's something that you guys really need to think about using. So I do this. I did it with, my aunts. I did it with my sister, my older sister, and that helped my credit worthiness get more bulky. And it also allowed me to get easier access to higher credit limits based off of the authorized users that I was associated with. So whenever you guys hear people talking about trade lines, that's what they're talking about. That's people adding you to an account as an authorized user. You're not going to use a credit card. You could tell whoever you're asking about this that I am never going to use this credit card. They're going to ship it to you, not my address. As soon as you get the card, you can cut it up. I just need to have access to your affiliation. And the thing that is most important whenever you're asking somebody or telling somebody to add you as an authorized user is that it affects their credit in no way. It doesn't do anything to their credit at all. The only thing that it does is it reports to mine as if it was reporting to hers. It doesn't do anything on my end. I can't do anything to affect her unless they were to give me their credit card and let me swipe it up. Then of course I can affect it, but I don't need the card. As soon as you get it, chop it up, boom. And that's a big hack for a lot of people that don't know how credit worthiness works, and you can get a boost to your stuff. And then when you go to apply to get a credit card, they're going to see that you got that large trade line on there. They're like, damn, he got a trade line on there, 60K, 50K, 40K, 30K. That's dope. Your grandma been around since the 70s, man, the 60s, the 50s, whatever. And then now you got that ages of history to add to your credit report, and that helps you. So the more that you do it, the better your ages of credit history is, and the better your chances of having more credit worthiness. So it's more than the score. Am I giving y'all a game right now? Am I giving y'all a game? Drop flames in the chat if I'm putting y'all on right now. Drop flames in the chat if I'm putting y'all on. Drop flames in the chat if I'm putting y'all on. Drop flames in the chat. Okay, cool. So now, with that being said, somebody asked a question about if it can affect them negatively. If you get added as an authorized user on a credit card, if you know they're a person that's going to max out their credit card or bring their utilization up, yes, that can affect you negatively. So make sure it's a person that literally is responsible, that normally leaves a 0 to 2 to 6% balance, no more. If that's the case, it's going to be great for you to get added to that credit card. Now, if they're a person that does have good credit, but they normally leave a high balance, that's going to affect you in your endeavors whenever you try to go get something, because your utilization for all of your accounts as a whole doesn't need to go over 30% either. So once that's the case, you're going to be looking at your credit score going down, and you're going to be affected negatively by the person that's the authorized user. My normal rule is if somebody does that and they leave a high utilization, I normally just tell them to take me off the card. And it's nothing it's one phone call. All they got to do is say, hey, I got this authorized user. I want to remove him off the credit report. They'll say, okay, cool. He'll be removed in one billing cycle. Your credit score will shoot back up if they affected you in a negative way. Okay? Somebody just said, I said, drop flames in the chat if I'm giving y'all a game. Somebody said flames in the chat. I like that. Okay, cool. So now, next thing y'all got to know about credit. So now we know our status. We know that we know all the negative things that can be on a report. We know how to send out a dispute. We know the 30-day cycles of how we need to be sending them. We know what to put in a letter. We know to do a handwritten letter. We know how to avoid collections. We know how to send out a dispute with the collection agencies and settle our debts for half. We know what to get, a letter of deletion. We know about getting added to authorized user accounts. We know about credit worthiness. We know about a good credit mix, and we know what affects us. So now, what is good debt? Because some people, I know you heard this before. Most people say, oh yeah, I don't want to be in debt. I want to be debt free. Me in particular, I got millions of dollars in debt, and it's a good thing for me. So, and I'm explaining what good debt and what bad debt is. Good debt is things like if you were to have a home, this is an asset if you are using it as an asset, but a home is an asset. So that would be good debt. If you look at my credit report and you see that I got $1 million house, a $1.3 million house, I got 100% payment history. I can show that I've been able to handle a mortgage over $10,000, over $17,000 for a certain amount of time. That would be good debt. So what do you think happens when I go into a bank and I say, hey, I want to get a $5 million house? Do you think they will say, oh, how do I know you can handle this $5 million house? Do you think they will say that? If I got $1 million house on my credit report, 100% payment history, they can see the mortgage is over $15,000. I've been handling it for over 2 years. I want to go get a $5 million house now. Do you think they will say, how do I know if you can handle a $5 million house? No, they're going to say, cool, I already know you can handle it based off of your good debt that you have on your credit report. Does that make sense? That's a good debt that you put on your credit report right there. The same thing goes with auto loans. If I had an auto loan, let's just say if I want to go get a Lamborghini, I want to go get the new Spider. It costs $300,000. They can see that I already have borrowed money before to get a Lamborghini, $200,000, and I've been handling it for over 8 months to a year. They can say, damn, based off of your credit, you wanting to get this car, I'm okay giving you this debt because your good debt here shows me that you're a person that's credit worthy to be able to get this asset or get this liability as a car. But that's good debt. Does that make sense? Another reason you would call it good debt as well is when we get mortgages on our house. This is when you start making a little bit more money. If I were to get real estate, right? If I were to buy real estate with my company, this is something that literally is tax deductible. I can depreciate it literally in advance the first year that I buy a house. That's good debt. Another thing that I can do is write that off on taxes and literally avoid paying taxes if need be because I did advanced depreciation. These are things that you're going to understand when you get a little bit higher level in business, but you should start knowing about it now, even at the beginner level, so you can prepare yourself for when you get to that point. But good debt is something that happens when you guys are starting to use credit the right way. Even credit cards can be good debt if you literally are utilizing it the right way. But remember what I told y'all about utilization, no more than 2 to 6%. Okay, so now, what did I tell y'all about utilization before on how we're doing business with credit cards and we're using a lot of money to advance ourselves to be able to get inventory, to be able to buy our storefront, to pay staff, to be able to do furnishing, to be able to do these things for our Airbnbs and for our rental car businesses, to run our companies before we've actually created cash flow enough to be able to satisfy the amount of things that we got to get done before we make the money. How do we do that? That's what we do on the business credit side. All right, everybody put BC, business credit. Everybody put BC in the chat. Business credit. Very important that y'all know the difference. On the personal credit side, your utilization will affect you if you were to max out your credit card, if you were to have over 30%, over 20%, and clearly, like I told y'all, my rule of thumb, over 6%. Never between 2 and 6 on your personal side. Okay? Now, on the business credit side, if I were to max out my credit card right now, I got a credit card that's 400 grand. I got an Amex that's 400 grand, and clearly I got a Black Card Unlimited Amex. If I were to swipe 200,000 on the credit card, how would that affect my personal credit? Somebody tell me, what would it say about my personal credit? What would that say? What would it report to my personal credit? Would you know that I swiped 200 grand? Y'all tell me. There we go. Coach Murph said it. Wouldn't show. You would have no idea if I spent 200 grand or not on the personal side. So literally, you getting a business credit card is the best way to advance yourself in business. So please stop trying to collude things and try to use your personal stuff for startup funds on your business. If you are credit worthy on a personal side, you are applicable to be able to go and get a business credit card on the business side. And guess what? There's no limit to the amount that you can get. Now, please listen to this information and please hear all of my disclaimers, okay? Everybody put disclaimer in the chat. Everybody put disclaimer. Whenever I coach, the reason why I'm number one is because I'm that thorough when I give out information. I don't want you guys to be able to put yourself in trouble by accident. And I say by trouble is like you putting yourself in more debt than you were in before you even started this financial literacy journey, okay? So disclaimer, just because you can do these things doesn't mean that you should do these things. If you know you're not disciplined with $2,000, do you think you're going to be disciplined with $200,000? If you do not invest in return on investment type of assets with $2,000, do you think you will invest in it with $200,000? You will not. So please, just because I'm teaching you that you can do this does not mean that you should do this, okay? The only thing we use these credit cards for is things that we can purchase and have a ROI, a return on investment, meaning that we have a strategy that if we spend this money in this amount of time, I will be able to get my money back and also afford to make not only the minimum payment, but pay it back in a timely manner to where I can get funded for more in the future. Okay? Now, I want you guys to use this strategy I used when I started my businesses, okay? So every business that I start, I normally get 3 to 4 credit cards for that business, right? So case in point, Pushman Mitch goes and starts LLC. Let's say I start No Fluff LLC. After I start the LLC, my personal credit is 800. So that means my credit worthiness is amazing. So what I do is I go to Bank of America, I go to Chase, I go to Truist, and I go to Wells Fargo. And I go get business credit cards that are 0% interest. 0% interest, a 0% interest credit card up to 15 months, 0% interest credit card up to 12 months. I look for 0% interest business credit cards. Okay. I go to Chase. I go to them all at the same time, and I hit them all on the same day. Okay. After I go to Chase and Wells Fargo and Bank of America and Truist, they approve me for 25 here, 50 here, 60 here, whatever. So I say I get $200,000 in funding for that business. If I were to start another business tomorrow, listen to me. If I were to start another business tomorrow, I started No Fluff today, and then the next day I started Coden and Coden Company. Literally, I'll go get 4 credit cards for that business. Now I got $200K for that business. Now, when I'm doing this, disclaimer, I'm doing this for the business's growth, for me to use it to purchase things with a ROI, return on investment. I'm not spending it on Louis Vuitton. I'm not spending it on cars. I'm not spending it on watches. I'm not spending it on anything that doesn't bring me a return on investment. Nothing for myself personally, only for the business. And let me give you an exact strategy that I would do. So I'm in the rental car biz. I started the business today. I go get the 0% interest credit card from Bank of America up to 15 months. My rule of thumb is to buy cars that I will get my return on investment within 3 months. I run plays with used cars, economy cars that are high MPG, high miles per gallon. I go find me a Ford Fusion for $2,800 on Facebook Marketplace. $2,800. My model that I use for renting out my vehicles is $450 a week. $450 a week is $1,800 a month. Within 2 months, I will have my return on investment. Because I got a 0% interest credit card, I swipe the card to, I use an app called Plastic, Plastiq. I wire myself the $2,800 for the car. I go and purchase the car cash. I get the title in hand. I rent out the vehicle for $1,800 a month, $450 a week to a person who drives for Uber, Lyft, or DoorDash. They are keeping the car for a long term because they use the car to make money. I know I will get my return on investment within 2 months. Then I pay off the 0% interest credit card where I didn't have to pay any interest. I didn't have to get a car loan. I didn't have to be in a car loan for 72 months, 84 months, 60 months. I literally have the car. I own it outright and I'm literally cash in. I have no debt with the car within 2 months. I use 0% interest credit card, paid it back off. The credit card balance is 0 and they want to give me more money in the future. Do y'all see what I mean by a ROI? That is an exact strategy that I would use with the card. I wouldn't go to Louis Vuitton. I wouldn't go to Gucci. I wouldn't go to Rolex. I'm not going to spend money that I do not need to spend. I am disciplined enough to know that regardless of me thinking, because I have over $200,000 in credit cards, that does not mean that it's my money. That is OPM. That is other people's money. That is your money. That is your money. So when you put your money in Bank of America, you put your money in Chase, if I get a credit card and start swiping crazy, that's your money that I'm using. So I need to be responsible with that money, knowing that it's not my own and that I never get that confused. I never blur those lines. I'm never going to be over leveraged simply because I know that that's not my money. And when I'm using it with a strategy that I know that is proven that will bring me that money back within a timely manner to where I can avoid all interest. Now, that is how you are able to level up to a level that you've never been before. Understanding how to leverage credit and do it the way to where you are not over leveraging yourself. You're using 0% interest. Your personal credit isn't being affected. And now on the business side, you are utilizing that debt in a positive way. So even if you got to leave a balance, Even if you leave a balance and you went and bought those cars, I went and bought 3 cars at once with a 0% interest credit card. Even if I'm making a minimum payment for the 2 months, I know within 3 months, I'm going to have my full return on investment, and then I'll be able to pay that money back, and I'm not going to affect my personal credit. Was that valuable? Everybody put value in the chat. I need to know that y'all learning with me and y'all are growing by watching this live. It's Financial Friday. I'm going to be doing this every Friday. I want to make sure you guys are tapping in, because a lot of you guys are never going to get in the mentorship program and then learn how to be able to make all of these millions of dollars. But I'm just trying to let y'all get a taste of what's going on, what's behind the curtain, because a lot of you guys are victims of what you don't know, and what you don't know can hurt you. There are things that we know we don't know. Like some of you guys, before I got on this call, you knew you didn't know that much about credit. You already knew that. But do you know that there are things that you don't know that you don't know? It's called an unknown unknown. I'm not sure what I don't know. So when I go on YouTube and I go on Google, I don't know what to research because I'm not even aware of what I don't know. Does that make sense? So that's why I do these things. I'm trying to let you guys know what time it is. And like I said, whenever it comes that time when you're tired of guessing and you're tired of not knowing about credit, not knowing about business, and you tired of seeing people like myself travel the world, drive Lambos and live in mansions, and you still wondering why you couldn't even crack 100K, when you're tired of that, that's when you reach out to me and you learn from the source. You got to be able to be number two to be number one. And if you want to become number one, you got to be humble enough to put yourself in a position to learn. And you got to be able to sacrifice something to be able to get that information, because nothing comes easy for those that's really, really valuable. So I want you to realize that that's what it's going to take. So when you're ready, come holla at me. I got you. So with that being said, 3 C's we went over. I want to recap what everything we went over today. We went over credit, knowing our status. We went over how to do disputes, how to get collections off, how to get late payments off. We went over the pros and cons of credit. What's good debt? What's bad debt? We went over all of these different things today, and it was just the tip of the iceberg. Does that make sense? It's just the tip of the iceberg. I want y'all to know that there are so many things that can help you today that you just don't know because you never stepped into that room. And I'm here to create that room for you guys on Financial Friday. And this is going to go up on my YouTube. So if you haven't started following my YouTube, go to my YouTube channel, follow me, PushmanMitch21. That's my my YouTube channel. And clearly I'm going to do this on Instagram on Fridays. I'm going to be going live, and I'm going to be giving you guys the sauce only in my close friends, because y'all my close friends, and I want to make sure y'all get into the money, not the funny. If anybody here enjoyed this live, please do me a favor right now. Everybody, if you learned something, this is my only thing. I'm not charging you any money. Please take a screenshot right now. Tag me in your story and tell me the thing that you learned on this call today. If your page is private, I won't see it. So make it unprivate so we can see. If you got a private page in 2024, I'm just going to let you know, if you're trying to do business, you're going to have the most difficult time trying to gain followers, gain people to be in the community, to shop with your business, to give you word of mouth business, because you're a private individual. It's okay. If you want to do personal things, have a personal page. But if you want to do business, have a public page so everybody can get to see what you got going on, see that busy street, and then pay you that money that you always deserve to earn. But it starts with you making a decision to go public. So everybody do me a favor, screenshot, tag me, tell me, look, it's 130 something of y'all on here. I should have 130 tag messages of people telling me what they learned today about credit, about the 3 C's, about rebuilding it. And I'm going to help y'all get to that next level. If anybody wants to tap in me one-on-one, I do consultation calls. It's not coaching. It's literally me being able to tap in and see what you got going on and maybe point you in the right direction and get you into one of my programs to where you can be my next millionaire success story. So with that being said, I'm out. Much love. All you got to do is DM me the word call if you want to lock in one of those consultation calls. I'd love to help you, bring you onto the team. But with that being said, it's love. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the vibe. Peace. Yes, sir.